Hey, friends, it's Mark from the Where to Gays Retire podcast. I want to tell you that I built something close to my heart, LGBTQseniors.com. It's a free, welcoming online community for LGBTQ seniors. We've got forums, private messaging, real conversations, and monthly Zoom meetups where members from around the world connect, laugh, and feel a little less alone. No algorithms, no noise, just real people, real talk, and real community, all completely free. If you've ever thought, I wish there were a space like this, well, now there is. And if you enjoy what I bring to the table, I hope you'll find it in your heart to buy me a coffee or even a few to help keep this community going strong. So please visit lgbtqseniors.com today because connection matters and pride doesn't retire. Thank you.
Welcome to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast, where we help you in the LGBTQ plus community find a safe and affordable retirement place. Join Mark Goldstein as he interviews others who live in gay-friendly places around the globe. Learn about the climate, cost of living, healthcare, crime and safety, and more. Now, here's your host, Mark Goldstein.
What if you could test drive life in Costa Rica, men only, built-in community, without buying a home or committing long-term? By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what a week or a month at Club Heasa really costs, feels like, and whether it fits into your lifestyle. Today we have our special guest, Colin Brownlee. I'll tell you a little bit about Colin. Joining us from Costa Rica, originally from Vancouver, Canada. Colin left behind a career in marketing back in 2004 to follow a dream. He moved to the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica and built a hotel that grew into a thriving hospitality business with over 60 employees. After 2 decades of success and hitting the milestone of turning 60, Colin made the decision to sell his hotel at the height of its success, knowing it was time to pass the torch and step back from the daily stress of running such a large operation. But Colin wasn't ready for full retirement. And we know Colin, he never sits still. He wanted to remain in Costa Rica and, more importantly, be surrounded by his own gay community. With few gay neighborhoods in the country, and even Manuel Antonio losing its reputation as the top LGBT destination, Colin decided if the community he longed for didn't exist, he would build it himself. That vision became Club Heasa, a project he has been dreaming about for 15 years. After 2 years of construction, Club Heasa is now opening its doors on September 1st, offering a brand new space where gay men can connect, relax, and really feel true at home in Costa Rica. Welcome, Colin. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so
Hey,
much for
Mark.
coming.
Good to see you again, Mark, and thanks for having me. It's great.
Sure. So, folks, welcome back to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast. We're going to talk about Club Hesa's men-only vacation rental community in the La Garita, Atenas,
Yes. Actually, more people would know at tennis, which is the actual district we're in. Yes.
the tennis. Okay, like playing tennis.
Yes.
All right. So let's get into the story of Club Hesa. So tell us what Club Hesa stands for first.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked that. Everyone wonders where the name came from, and it's actually very important. I was about 15 years ago, I was in Thailand with my then late AA sponsor. And we were sitting on the beach in Pattaya, Thailand, and we were enjoying the gay beach, and it was full of all of these gay men, and most of the gay men were tend to be like 40 and up, and it was just a really relaxing time. And I was in my early 40s at the time, and and just sort of starting to enter definitely well into middle age, and start knowing the future of getting older. And I was looking around and I just thought, well, gee, if this is what getting older looks like, this looks okay to me, that everyone's having a good time and everything. And and Jim's there on the beach, my friend, and he's getting his pedicure done, and he goes quite often, and he was really just taking it all in. And I was watching this guy in front of me, and he must have been well into his 80s. He looked a little frail, and he was under one of the ranchos and just sitting there in the sun and everything, and there was these three young Thai guys, and when I say young, they're probably close to 30, but they look younger, because they're just naturally younger looking, and they'd all been drinking a little bit, but not drunk, but they're sort of, and they were dancing to traditional Thai music, and ordering food, and this guy was just sitting there just taking it all in, and everyone was just, I was just watching. It was something like out of a Fellini movie or something like that, and I just thought, wow, whatever retirement plan this guy signed up for, sign me up. I
He's
mean,
doing good.
if this is what the end is going to look like, it's okay with me. And so I was just watching it, and I just felt like I was really mesmerized on it. And I was thinking of like Donna Summer with the mirror ball on the dance floor at the end of the night, and that song comes on, "Last Dance, Last Dance for Romance," and I
Romance.
just thought, wow, just all these things were going through my mind. And I said to Jim, I said, Jim, we need to start a gay retirement home and call it Happy Endings. And he says, "Oh yeah, that's a really good idea, And he says, "I know it would work." And then he says to me, like about 60 seconds later, he says, "What about Shameless Acres?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that sounds cool." And so right away we decided, you know what, it's going to be Happy Endings at Shameless Acres. And so I never lost that. It was this thing I always held on to, and we just both cackled and decided, yes, that's what we're going to do. And so here I am, and so Heasa Happy Endings at Shameless Acres is where the name comes in. And and it's really, taken on a whole different meaning for me, and many different meanings for me. Of course, everyone loves a happy ending, is one of the reasons for choosing that name.
That's a
And
great name.
yeah, and also, this is what Jane Fonda calls our third act in life. There's 1 through 30, 30 through 60, and 60 plus, and our third act. And so, I want to see it as our ending, but it is, one of our closing acts. And so we wanted to make it as good as possible and get over the negativity of this, part of your life. And so anyway, I just, the other thing is for me now, what I'm really realizing too, it's become the ending of my life before 60. So it's another happy ending of that chapter of my life and embracing this new chapter of my life. And, the one great thing about getting older is, you just don't care anymore if you're lucky. And
Right.
I was just at the gym yesterday, and after halfway through my gym class, my trainer said to me, he says, "Oh, do you know your shirt's on inside out?" And I just cackled, and he says, "Oh, we're in this room. You can just flip it and change it." And I just laughed. I said, "Oh, I'm not going to change. I don't care."
Who gives a
And,
shit?
and I just thought it was so funny, that I don't even look in the mirror or anything. And meanwhile, years ago I would have been like preparing my face and everything, to go out, and here my shirt's on backwards, and I'm leaving it there, and I just don't even care. So again, it's shameless acres. Like, we just don't care anymore, and
Right.
it's such, a great space to be in life. And so this is ultimately what, I'm trying to create is this great space and place to be in life. And and if it comes with a, what we know as a traditional happy ending, for a physical release,
Right.
then all the better.
That's it. That's it. Now, I know you, Colin. I know Colin for our audience. I know Colin for a few years now. And Colin was the owner of Hotel Banana Azul,
Mhm.
correct?
That's right.
In
Puerto Viejo, see, yeah.
Viejo. Yes. And it was quite successful. And I knew when Colin was going to sell his hotel to someone, I knew that wasn't the last we were going to hear from Colin. He's the type of person that he doesn't sit still. He wants to live the dream and he's doing it. So welcome, and let's get into a little bit more about your new venture, Club Heasa. So we know what it stands for, and let's talk a little bit about who will stay there and what will happen and what the dress code is and all that good stuff. So I understand it's open to gay men only. Is
Yes,
that correct?
yes.
Okay.
And
Okay. And how did you come to that decision?
well, it's been quite a journey getting there because I originally decided I wanted it to be gay men only, and then I thought, times have changed, and I'm kind of old school, and maybe you should really open it up to LGBTQ, and you have lots of friends who fit into all those different identities, and so why not just open it up? And then as I got thinking about it, I thought, that this is a small place, an intimate place, and this is my also my home. And I wanted it to really be amongst people with shared experiences and shared histories. And for those of us like me and Mark, who survived what we did through the AIDS crisis and our civil rights struggles, and prior to the AIDS crisis too was no picnic either, and then to arrive here, and people don't understand when we want to share our stories. Like I don't get this sort of, and yet with a person my age and everything, we immediately connect on that, and bond, and so for me that's really important. And I also, I'm kind of old school, and I've never really totally been comfortable with the big umbrella, identity, because I felt like it's a bit of a shotgun marriage. And we were never given a choice about it. It's just like, well, this is the new rules, and you need to play by it. And if you're not, then off with you, so and I really subscribe to the belief that we must unite in our struggle for our equal rights, and our place in the world and everything, and absolutely without question. But I also think it's okay to have spaces of our own. And 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 the interesting thing is I've gotten some feedback from trans community and women's community, really questioning my exclusivity, and I've explained this to them, and I said, one final thing is, if I do not know one gay man, and I've been out for over 40 years, almost 50, that would ever question a space limited to women or just limited to the trans community. Would never even question it and would be in full support of it. So why is it that when we choose to have an exclusive community, that we're somehow excluding? We're not being following the new rule of inclusivity. So I'm very confident about the decision, and that's my feeling on the whole thing. And when I put this with gay men, my actual demographic of who I'd like, and there's a renounding support of that course for the project.
Well, first of all, and I agree with you, and there are quite a few successful places that are considered gay men's guest houses in the
Mhm.
States that are totally gay. And put it this way, if I went to a guest house that was gay or LGBTQ and it was clothing optional, I wouldn't feel comfortable.
Mhm. Yes. And
And
I was just going to say our space will be clothing optional as well, and but not a nudist place. It's just clothing optional, And that was another reason I decided to go with gay men as well,
And
is to make it a more comfortable space.
I 100% agree with you. Because again, it's not that I take off my clothes in a clothing optional place either, but maybe I would. But in a mixed place, I would feel uncomfortable. So I think you're doing the right thing. And in hindsight, you'll see that that's the way it should be. So kudos to you.
Thanks, Mark. I hope that that's the way it also. I also hope that we can be an example of a property that can inspire other communities to create safe, inclusive spaces for them as well. So, because I think that is, these times it's okay to be, especially in our age, it's okay to be a bit selfish and be with your tribe, and that's what this is about.
So, what was the spark actually for Club Heasa? What did you see a gap in our community for gay men?
Well, yes, in our age bracket, a lot of the places that we used to know as gay space, physical spaces, are gone and disappearing. And they've been replaced by apps and virtual spaces, and even being a part of your group, Gay Men 60 and Better, and Where Gay Men's Retire, you know, has really given me an insight into where many of us are at in our lives at this point. And I just really hear constantly, whether you're coupled or single, this longing for physical community. And it's just not there. And then we have a couple micro examples of it. Well, not micro if you count like Wilton Manors and Fort Lauderdale, that's hardly micro, or Palm Springs. These are very big, huge gay communities, and are very thriving and very successful, and people feel very comfortable in them. But there's also like the Ajic, Mexico, with
Hmm.
Steve Cross and his group. That is just absolutely unreal what they have created in the middle of what we would normally call nowhere.
Right,
And all because it started with a group of people that got together that just decided, well, we're just going to put up the flag and invite everybody, and
right.
that's what happened. So basically, I'm using his example as a model, and say we're just going to put up the flag and build it, and they will come. And
Yep.
I followed that same philosophy with my hotel. I bought a cow field on the beach on the worst part of the country, in the worst part of the area of that country, and we became the most successful tourist business on the whole coast of that country. And so I'm hoping that I can pull it off again. So
Yeah. I mean, I always look at Steve. I always tell people Steve started Ajijic. I mean, he moved there with his husband, who is now unfortunately deceased, but he came from Puerto Vallarta, moved to Ajijic. It was a little town. He started selling real estate, but he has that personality that everyone loves.
mm-hmm.
And he brought the gays. And he's been very successful lately, es- especially with people, Americans from the US coming there. So,
And
yeah,
what's great
kudos.
to see is he's attracted a lot of like-minded people, so he doesn't have to carry the torch.
Right.
All these other people are just filling in and just carrying the whole community along, and I just think that's absolutely amazing. and
Yeah.
and and there's nobody better qualified to do this than us. That's
Right.
all we've done all our life,
Yeah.
and so we got this.
Yeah, we know we're the people that create community.
Exactly, yes, because we had no choice.
Right, exactly. So, all right, tell us about the demographics. So, you're not going to have any age barriers or any age restrictions, I should say. You
Yes.
decided upon that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I did naively feel that in the beginning that we would limit it to 55 plus gay men. And I got all of these people writing me and saying, "Oh, my partner's under 55. Is that a problem?" And I was like, "No, no, no, of course not." And then I got other people that were younger, even in their 40s and stuff like that, and said, "Oh, but we'd really like to come, but unfortunately, we don't fit. And then I just thought, well, no, you're still welcome to come. We're just trying to let people know that we're catering to this demographic of mature gay men. And I thought the best way of doing it was saying 55 plus. I've since decided that it was best just to take the age off, and we'll let our marketing and our reviews and people speak for the, because we're not trying to create an age specific place. We're trying to create an environment that makes middle-aged to older gay men very comfortable.
Yeah.
And because that's one of the big problems about us at our age is there's lots of places out there, and it's not because we're not welcome. It's just doesn't work for us anymore. We don't
Right.
feel comfortable there, and the music's too loud, and and all of these other things, and there's too many young people, and you just feel like out of place,
I get
and
that way.
yeah, but again, it's not that we're not welcome there.
Right.
Nobody has ever said, "Oh, get the heck out." It's just it's we've changed, and these places, have they're catering to their audience, and I get it, and respect it, and so I feel that we need to, if we want these spaces, we have to create them ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so men only, no age limit, and yeah, it sounds good to me. So no leases, so it's going to be a short-term vacation rental,
Right.
correct?
Yeah. So
So,
let me.
so what's the least amount of time you can spend, and what's the most amount?
Okay, so the least amount of time is 2 nights because we are encouraging people to also consider building our place into a Costa Rica vacation itinerary. We're only at 15, 20 minutes from the airport, so we're the perfect place to take off from on your Costa Rica journey around Costa Rica, or end up and rest up for a couple days in a relaxed environment before you return back to your home country. So, but running studio, there's studio apartments, fully equipped and very well appointed. To we have to have a minimum nights just to make it economically viable,
Sure.
uh, turning those units over. Then we really have sort of just capping sort of a 6 month stay, as we really do not are not really an appropriate accommodation for a permanent stay person, and it's something we might look into in future with other units, but for this we've decided to limit it to a cap it at 6 months.
Six
The
months is a long time.
Yeah, 6 months is a long time, and but then there are lots of people that live 6 months abroad a year. I mean, in Canada, you can live 6 months abroad, and not lose your health care or anything like that,
Right.
complications. But we expect people to be staying less than that, maybe 1, 2, 3 months max, sort of thing. And my experience in Costa Rica, running the hotel and living here and seeing many people visit here and vacation here, I hear so many of them say, "Oh, I'd really like to own a vacation home down here," and I just cringe as soon as I hear them say that, because it's like, no, you don't. And because there's this whole host of issues that they don't really understand that they're going to have to deal with of owning a home and being an absentee owner in a foreign country. And also, unless you're really a professional at this and really know what you're doing, you're not going to make any money. And your best you could hope for is that it will cover the cost of running it and upkeeping it. That's your best scenario. Okay. If you made any money on it, it would only be if it increased in value. And given the way real estate markets are heading these days, I think now it's a declining asset. So I gently just try and give people the reality of that. And I just tell them, look, there's so much nowadays for rent, and yes, it's a little expensive. But if you run the math and say you rent it 2 months a year, and just build it into your budget and everything, it's ultimately cheaper than owning, and way less headache, and you're not saddled with something that in a crisis financially or physically or whatever, that you have this issue that you have to deal with. It's and also you have total freedom to go to another place, go to another country, and not worry about when the toilet backs up, and or the grass needs cutting, or
Or it could be a springboard, staying at your place for a few months while thinking about relocating permanently to Costa Rica. Stay at your place 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever, until you find the right place to buy and then make the move
Yes.
to your place.
Yeah, and that is another market we are going after because there are so many people, especially these days from the LGBTQ community, who are planning on seeking about the possibility of another plan B, and Costa Rica is one of those destinations that they are looking at. And we are a big really take a test drive, do your research, and don't buy anything, rent, and really scout it out. So we're really well located in an area where a lot of these people that have come to live who didn't who chose the cooler mountain temperatures over the beaches. So we're a great location to explore all these different areas, conveniently and comfortably, and decide what town might be best for you, or would this, city be best for you, or and not feel pressured, and be able to get a really good overview, while just also remaining in comfort and security, and not renting someplace where you have no sort of support around you, to ask questions, and get to good guidance and referrals and things like that. So we think we'll be a great resource for that.
So, okay, it's by the airport. Tell us a little bit about the climate. Is it a microclimate? Do they have microclimates? Is it dry? Is it humid? Do you have hurricanes? Tell us a little bit.
Well, Mark, that's one of the best things about this new place of mine is I lived at the beach for 20 years and I loved it. It was a wonderful experience. I came from Canada. I lived on a tropical beach, with all the palm trees and the monkeys and everything. It was like just, right out of a movie,
Yeah.
but in the end, as I got older, I got more sensitive to the heat, and I also got really tired of tourists. And even though I ran a tourism business, I just got really tired of the transientness of people,
Yes.
and also the expense. All of the beach locations are very expensive in the way of cost of housing and food, and everything is just, easily starts at 35% more and goes up. So 35% more is the bare minimum. Okay, like my rooms that I have would be easily double in off season and triple in high season. So that's just what the reality is. But my friends that come to the beach visit me here, and they go, "Oh my God, I cannot get over the temperature."
The difference. So, what's a typical?
A typical day is like 85 to 90 degrees with a light breeze and low humidity.
Hmm, sounds good
And
to me.
yeah, exactly. And I'm a person that likes a comfortable temperature, and even in my room right now, all day, I don't have AC. I do have AC, but I never use it. I only use it at night. And the reason I like to use it at night is I'm from Canada, and I like to sleep in a
In the
Canadian
cold.
cold, and so I have it at a
Me
nice
too.
low temperature of 70 degrees, 68 to
Yeah.
70 degrees. And for those in Fahrenheit, in Celsius, that's 21 degrees, somewhere around there. And so, and I can still pinch myself about the temperature. And the other great thing too is we have a nice pool, but I wouldn't go in because it was just too cold. And it's because the breeze constantly kind of sucks the heat out. And I'm one of those people that's very sensitive, and I just like a warm pool.
Hmm. Is that
So
here?
so I recently decided to bite the bullet and invest in a solar
Heater.
a heater. And oh my God, I just cannot believe it. So, my friend and I were visiting, and it was 8:30 at night the other night, and we went in the pool, and there was even steam coming off the water because it cools down at night.
Yeah.
And I looked at the thermometer, and it was 34 degrees. I'm not quite sure what that is in Fahrenheit because I've lost that because I'm Canadian. But just so body temperature was what, 38.6. So we're almost at a body temperature, and it just felt like this warm bath. And so, combined with the temperature here and now with this new pool heater, which was expensive, and I didn't know if it would achieve the results I wanted, but I didn't want to go to gas or electric because it's just cost prohibitive in the way of operational. And so, yeah, the temperature is something that's really amazing. And yes, we go through a rainy season,
I was
which
just going to ask.
we're actually in right now. But I don't know what it is. We get these weird microclimates because of mountains and everything all over, but we just do not get near the rain that so many other places around us get. And I think it's because we're in this open valley area and the mountains are off to the side. And so we get, way less rain. So, for it to rain for a whole day here would just be rare, very rare. And then, the rain tends to come at, 2 in the afternoon, and it rains for 3 hours. And it takes 2 days to suck all the heat out of the pool with no sun. So so far we've been good. It was only once sucked all the heat out of the pool. So that's how I measure it anyway.
Right. That sounds great. So great climate. It does have so the summer is the rainy season, correct?
Yes, yes. The rainy season goes from kind of like May to the end of October is when the rainy season. Yeah, May through October is was traditional the rainy season, and this year it's been drier than normal, and I'm seeing that. And it's a little concerning because we do need it, and it keeps everything green. Then we go into a dry season where we have a lot of intensive landscaping, which we will have to water and irrigate to keep it green and lush. And so, yeah, that's how it tends to go. But all year around, it's a comfortable temperature. And for me to use AC in the daytime is just really rare.
Would you call it semi-tropical?
Yeah, semi-tropical would be, but the beaches are, because they have more rain
Tropical,
and more heat. Yeah, they have the monkeys and the toucans
right?
and things like
You don't
that.
have monkeys?
No, we don't have monkeys, and because we're more in the country, we have tons of green. Everything's green, rolling hills and everything like that. But we just don't have the jungle canopy.
Do you have
Uh,
bugs?
very
Like
little,
like
like
Florida bugs?
no, 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 nothing like that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
and
wanted to make sure because
very
they get me first.
yeah, very few mosquitoes.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about what a week costs at Club Heasa, what a month costs, and how your pricing
Yeah,
goes.
our introductory pricing, remember they're fully equipped studio units, and with your outdoor space, every unit has a patio, and the deluxe units have two patios, front and back. So a standard studio would be about just under 400 square feet, and it has everything. And it will run 90 introductory rates at 99 a night, 600 a week, and 1,800 a month. And then the deluxe will run at 129 a night. I can't remember it's six times 6 nights. And then the monthly rate is, 3 weekly rates. Is my formula for pricing.
Right.
So those are all on the website. So yeah, it's very affordable. However, to be totally honest, for that price, people could rent a decent condo here, fully equipped, for probably less than that. And however, you wouldn't be in an
A
environment
gay,
gay environment, and also ours is a very boutique environment, as we're starting with only 12 units.
right.
So yeah, and these are the rates that we need to charge to provide the services and the facility that we want to give our guests.
How do you think you could get your guests together? Like is there a central place like by the pool where people could just gather, and are there common areas that you can like have drink or food or
Yeah. So for me, the common areas are the most important part of the whole space. And so around the pool, we have a big, beautiful pool lounge with a bathroom and also lounging furniture and a communal dining table. And then also separate dining tables for couples. And then also self-serve, self-use bar that people could, you know, bring a blender and make drinks for people or whatever, And so that's our main common area. Then we have two beautiful rooftop decks that overlook that with seating, Adirondack chair seating and planted that overlook the mountains and our property and just beautiful sunsets and views and breezes and it's breathtaking when you get up there and these are common areas. There's two of them. Then throughout the gardens, we're introducing common areas as well where people can just go and sit and hang out. Phase two of Club Heasa is next door, which we are going to open a restaurant, bar, and
Whoa.
second pool, which both all of this is already there. It's an event space that was next door that I purchased. And what that will be, I want people to think of it as a country club and where people can come for a day pass. And we're going to open that up to full LGBTQ and allies. And it's going to be a really fun space and we really want to make it just our own little, you know, think about you live in the city. You can go 45 minutes and be in a beautiful country and in the space, then hang out for the day at this sort of country club that caters to you and people like you and your friends.
I was
So
also going to say, even on your deck overlooking the mountains, if you get people together, people always like to eat or munch on something. I would love to have some munchies out there or something that people will get together and just, you know,
yeah,
drink and talk and
until we get our restaurant open, they're going to have to get together and do little potlucks, and I'm sure they will because they all have kitchens and everything. But we won't have any food service until we do phase two. But we are also in the beginning going to be allowing some day passes for this facility, but bring your own drink and food. And also, we are going to be hosting some parties as well, some social gatherings. And also, the environment we're trying to create, demand permitting, we also want to provide excursions for people where we get together and go to different places as a group and a small group and informal and maybe even more formal depending on what people want. But there's just we're kind of in the center of the country and there's three main arteries and we are 5 minutes away from each artery.
oh
And
wow.
so we can get to anywhere and do a day trip anywhere. We can get to one beach location within an hour. Yeah. So, the more popular ones that are further, but just there is one popular one that is just over an hour away. So there's also all sorts of, other things. There's an animal rescue center nearby. We're also, La Garita is very famous for nurseries. It's miles, probably about a 5 mile stretch of competing nurseries and all the tropical plants. So even
Wow.
just going to see those are kind of interesting because if you looked at these plants in the United States or Canada, they would cost you a fortune, and here they're $2 and $3, and
Yeah.
what you could buy, and they're also just fun to go and then go take in lunch at the same time at some simple Costa Rican place, and so, and then there's the La Paz waterfalls that's not far, and then there's the coffee plantations, and there's just no
Do you have,
end of
is there
things.
a town? Like, do they have like a little town with any restaurants before your restaurant opens? Is there anything that people
Yeah,
can go to, coffee shops?
yeah, where we are, we're in the country. So unfortunately, we're in a little bit of a food desert. There is some local places. When I say that, they serve local food, which is okay, but most foreigners get tired of that very quickly. We do have a nice Italian restaurant that's a few miles away that's very American standard and I'm considered reasonably priced, and I like to go there. Then there's the town of Atenas, which is very popular among foreigners. which is about 25 minutes away, and it's got everything you could possibly want. There's also another popular town with lots of LGBT expats, which is called Grecia. And it tends to be cheaper than Atenas and is more located in the mountains, so it's also a little cooler. And one of the excursions I would want to do is Grecia on Fridays to the public market because it's so cute, and you can have lunch there, and just going to the public market there, the vendors are all just really great and really friendly, and they sell all sorts of interesting local stuff, and I want to make that really is my goal is that that be an every Friday event, is just, whoever wants to go to the public market, just, get in the van, we're leaving. and and it's about 45 minutes drive from where we are.
How would somebody get from the airport to your place? Is it cab,
Yeah,
Uber?
ideally Uber. I'm a very big Uber fan because I like the convenience and the safety of it and everything. So I'm a very big Uber fan. And so, but also with our place, if you're going to be staying a while, it might be ideal to rent a car because you could, as long as you don't plan on going far, you could also stay and just Uber it. Go if you're not planning on going many places, you could also stay without a car as well.
Okay, and you can rent a car at the airport, right?
Yeah, I would suggest not renting it at the airport because it's more expensive. But you can come to our place first, then rent a car, and you could probably save about 25% of the cost because
Okay,
the
good to
car
know.
rentals at the airport are always very expensive.
Good to know. So tell us, what are the rules and regulations that you have? Is there any specific rules
Well,
that people have to
one
be
thing I learned at the Banana Azul, my hotel, all these years is you really didn't have to have a lot of rules. That most people are just respectful and and to have all this big list of rules was very intimidating, and it was unnecessary. It was like, to give you an example, it was like everybody thought, oh, well, they used to the pool should close at 9 or something like that. And it's like I never closed the pool, and people could go in at midnight if they wanted, and if they made too much noise because they were drinking or something, the guard just went over and went shh, and that's
right?
of it,
That's all they
and
need.
so it was never an issue, and I think in the 20 years I was there, there was maybe one or two incidents in the pool that were hardly worth mentioning. And so we just we want people to, while we're clothing optional, to be culturally sensitive. And so clothing optional is new for, and is not something that Latin Americans are really used to. So, we ask for people going to and from your room to be, wear a towel or shorts or something like that. And the clothing optional area is limited to the pool and the pool lounge, and clothing optional spaces. We're also hoping to have a hot tub area, and of course that will be clothing optional as well. And but the rooftop decks would be, not clothing optional because
Right.
we're our neighbor. We have a very private compound, which is wonderful and everything, and it has like 10-foot high walls all around the compound. But we want to be very respectful to our neighbors, and I'm always very conscious about being a good neighbor.
Sure. Sure. Definitely.
And we don't want people playing loud music and things like that. And we will have a smoking area, which is actually a violation of Costa Rican law. But I know people still smoke, so we will provide some area that people can smoke. And most smokers are, very respectful of that. And so I don't have that as a problem. Oh, if you bring somebody back to the property, they must be registered, and this is for your safety and everyone else's safety, and so it's not trying to intimidate anybody or anything like
Sure.
that. It's just to have security around you and the guests.
Sure. So besides the kitchenettes that you have, do you have laundry access? Could we do laundry?
No, we don't. They would have to request us to do the laundry, so we will have
Okay.
laundry service.
So you will have laundry service
Yes, and
at
if
a fee.
yes, at a fee, yes. And if, when, not if, we add more rooms, we might look at having a machine dedicated for people for longer term stays.
Right.
Yes, and but right now we just don't have that real possibility, and we'd have to provide at a reasonable price. It's not
Gotcha.
it's not going to be a profit center.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what are the beds? Are they single,
They're all,
doubles? They're all
they're
queen?
all queen size beds. Yes.
Queen for queen.
Yeah. I mean, king is nice, but when you're working
It's
with
big.
studio units, yeah. And also, I don't know whether how many of our guests are going to be single and how many are going to be couples. So I'm pretty single. I have a you know a special friend of 14 years, but we don't live together.
Got
And so I always never know what kind of guest we're going to attract. But I assume a lot of singles, but I also assume couples as well, because, in my experience here with LGBT travel and the hotel and everything, we just had tons of gay couples,
yeah.
middle age and up gay couples traveling.
How about housekeeping?
Yes, housekeeping for, nightly stays will be, on the nightly rate will be, as like normal sort of hotel style. Weekly stays would be twice weekly, and monthly stays would be twice weekly.
All right. Do you offer any storage if somebody needs some extra room somewhere and they're staying a month?
We will do our best.
Okay.
We have spaces that we could, accommodate. I'm hoping, it is really my hope, watching trends in Florida and Phoenix, and Arizona, where you're from, and that the these types of properties tend to attract reoccurring customer stays,
Mm-hmm.
and same people coming year after year,
Yeah.
and we're expecting people to ask us about storing stuff. And we're also expecting that people who come for it might even buy a car and ask us to store a car for them. So we're starting to think of these kinds of things and in advance. And it's like, how can we accommodate this? Because these are not unrealistic expectations by these types of people. And it is what we're trying to attract. So the more you can accommodate them, the better.
How about pets? Like some people, if they're staying long, they may bring their pets.
Yeah, for
Are
now,
you
yeah, for now we're going to be not
no
offer
pets?
pets, no pets. But I'm the jury is still out on that. So I will give a firm answer. And
Gotcha.
yeah,
That's
when I
fine.
ran the hotel, I had a no pets policy. But it was a full hotel and it was very busy in that. But however, at my restaurant, people could, my neighbors, they always brought their dogs, and it was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And my dog lived
Yep.
in the restaurant too, so.
Is there any LGBTQ scene in the area that you're in, or pretty much is that what you're aiming to do is just
Yeah,
make start one?
well, actually, now that you mention that, I should. There is a place called Rick's Bar that's in Alajuela, which is right by the airport. Alajuela is a city that is right next to the airport, and then you have San Jose, which is about 30 minutes away from the airport. So they almost sort of bleed into each other, But Alajuela is its own city, and there actually is a bar there that's been there for many years and is quite successful. I'm not sure about how many people our age like to attend it because, like many of the bars, they've gone to a much younger audience and tend to be, lots of drag shows and dancing and
Right.
things like that, and just stuff that we just don't, most of us just don't go for. However, on another note, one great thing is there are some active people around here who do LGBT socials, and there's at least one a month in the area, and they're quite well attended and a really good group of people, and a very big cross, and usually 40 plus, and people. They're great for expats moving here, or to really sort of connect with other people,
Sure.
and I just love going because it's exactly the atmosphere I'm trying to create, and you can just see how people are just like, oh my God, we're in physical space together, and everybody's so respectful and so nice and everything,
Hmm.
and you're just thinking, why can't the world be like
Right.
this?
Seriously.
Nobody's saying
Seriously.
any comments, and everyone avoids politics, and it's just like, and I just think, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something people dream about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's great. How easy is it to make friends? Like, do
Well,
you have many friends in your new
Yeah, I
place?
do. Yes, I do. But then remember, I've lived in Costa Rica for 21 years, so I better have some friends. Yeah, I'm a really outgoing person, and I've also found as I've gotten older, it's some people say it's harder to make friends, and I actually feel the opposite because I just don't care anymore. Like, I'm not afraid to go up and talk to somebody, and if they don't seem interested in talking to me, I don't take it personally. I'm just like, oh, they're not,
All right, the hell
whatever,
with that.
this is not happening, and move on to the next person, and don't think it was something about me,
Right.
and whereas when I was younger, of course, it was all about me. And,
Is it
so,
mostly expats or is it
yeah, mostly,
locals are called ticas?
yeah, Ticos.
Ticos.
Yeah, Costa Ricans are known as Ticos. Women are known as Ticas. And we also expect to have Costa Rican clientele. In fact, one of our first reservations that we got was a Tico couple, and they saw our ad and he said, "Oh, it's our anniversary, and we're actually from the city. We're only 30 minutes away from you, but we saw the clothing optional, and I wanted to go someplace special to take my husband." And we know it, and we warned him that it's a quiet place and this and that. And he says, "Oh no, we're in our late 40s, and we want something really quiet." And so I thought, oh wow, isn't that interesting? Our first,
Cool.
and there are lots of ticos like that, and they found that at my hotel as well, we would get a lot of those kinds of customers as well.
Yeah.
We also expect to get ticos with the day pass, who just, it's like, oh wow, here's a space I can go to that's clothing optional, and I hang out with people and socialize and have a drinks or whatever, and it's easy to access,
And have fun.
and it's not a bar,
And be yourself.
yeah, and be yourself, yeah, and get
Yeah.
out of the city into the country,
Yeah.
which is a really big deal for people who live in the city,
Fresh
and also
air.
lots of them live with their parents and things like that, so it's a good escape.
How about, are you close to any, just in case you need one? I'm not saying people would need one, but how about hospitals or doctors?
Yeah,
Are
that's
they
that's a
close by?
really good point, and another reason I chose this location specifically, being I'm now 63, coming up 64 years old, and living in a developing country, and getting older, and thankfully I've not had any real serious health issues, but definitely I've had the need for doctors and specialists as I'm getting older. And living at the beaches, it was really complicated. First of all, like no matter what they tell you, the healthcare that's available at these beaches is very limited, and I just don't take it that seriously, outside of just a general GP or whatever, and even then it's like, So, you're constantly trying to navigate from the beach to the city, these appointments and everything like that. And it's just very cumbersome because it has to include an overnight stay usually, and if and this and that. And also, you know, in the event of emergency, especially where I was in Puerto Viejo, I would get people that were 60 plus and who were thinking, oh, I'm thinking, I love this place. I'm thinking about living here. And I'm like, okay, listen, you need to know that in the event of an emergency, you're going to be very limited with your options. And the only place I would feel safe in an emergency is San Jose and
Yeah.
not the Limon Public Hospital. And so you need to know that and accept that as, the reality of living here.
It's very important.
And yeah, and now where we are, first of all, Alajuela is a city. And so there is a hospital there. There is, doctors and clinics and everything. However, the best, hospital and medical stuff is in San Jose that really can rival North American, service, and I use it all the time. And
How far is it?
well, San Jose is on average, about 45 minutes. If you're going
Okay.
downtown, maybe you would say 55 minutes because most of them are downtown. But so that is easy to make appointments and access medical care. Also, unlike a lot of people use medical care here and just pay for it out of pocket.
Out of pocket.
A standard doctor's visit for a specialist is about $100, which usually includes a follow up as well. So it's, by American standards, that's not
It's
expensive.
inexpensive.
Yeah.
Okay. How about travel insurance? Do you recommend people take travel insurance when coming to
Everyone has
visit?
their own personal, thoughts around that. I think if you can afford it, yeah. And especially if you buy the travel insurance that doesn't include the United States, it's not that expensive. But as soon as you buy travel insurance, like me as a Canadian, if I buy now I'm Costa Rican, if I buy travel insurance that includes traveling in the United States, the price just goes through the roof. Where, I'm going to Buenos Aires for 2 weeks, and I think that my travel insurance was, $150.
Wow.
You know, so and I'm 63, and so it's not that expensive. But again, if you do include, developed countries, then it gets more costly.
More, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have dual citizenship between Canada and Costa Rica?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
so
And
when did you become a citizen of Costa Rica?
I would say about 12 years ago.
Wow.
Um, and it's not necessary. Permanent residency here is really strong and gives everyone the full rights of everything in the country except for voting.
Voting.
I chose to get it because I qualified for it, and also I had multiple businesses running, and people just took me more seriously when I would plop down identification that said I was a citizen. They were like,
Right. And you
"Oh,
get a
okay,
passport too.
this guy's the real deal, yeah," and treated you differently.
Right. On your premise, do you have like security as far as locked out from the public? Do you have to put in a code? How do you
Yeah,
get in?
yeah, we have a coded gate entry, and so people get a code to enter. Thankfully, we've not felt the need here for a security guard, and we've not had a problem. And whereas at the hotel, I had one, but I also had a very busy operation, and it was just
Hmm.
standard with any hotel to have a security guard. Hopefully, we won't, feel the need to have one. And we're living here for 21 years. I'm very aware and security conscious, so I don't hesitate to act act accordingly when needed.
Right. Okay. How about, do you guys have Amazon? I had to ask.
Yeah, well, no, it's a really important question. Well, right now with the tariffs and everything, Temu is the new
Oh,
Amazon,
Temu, yeah.
because it's coming directly from China, and it's a way better deal. And some of the deals are just too good to be true. But I actually tested a few, and it was like, oh my God, it's pretty
It
much what
works.
offered. Yeah. And so, yes, they do have Amazon, but Costa Rica has its own huge tariffs and has had them for many years. And that's
Hmm.
part of what the country runs on. So you have to pay those. And then plus you have to pay the shipping. So basically, whatever you're buying on Amazon, add 50% plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't be
Uh,
doing that.
yeah, and well, people do, and also it won't be same day or next day service.
Right.
It was a week.
Okay. I could deal with that.
Yeah.
How about natural risks? So, do you get earthquakes or
Well, we
hurricanes?
just had one the other night, and oh, did you feel it? Did you feel it? That's always the talk the next day. We had a little shake the other night, and I woke up, and I just thought, oh, I think that's an earthquake. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
it's an
dizzy.
Yeah, yeah. It was just, I've never been through a big one here. The last really big one I think was in I think 2008 was in one section of the country. It wasn't catastrophic or anything like that, but the one that did do a lot of damage was in '92 and was on the Limon coast. And but yes, it is we. But as far as like compared to Vancouver or California or something like that, no, we just get shakes, and they feel a little unnerving, but In fact, I have a great story recently about an earthquake. I have a condo in San Jose as well, a new condo, and it was like pouring rain, and I'm right on a river. And going into this river is this kind of dry creek, right out my window across, and it was like turned into a river,
River.
the river, like
Wow.
in a major river. And
River.
I, oh my God, so much for that dry creek.
Right.
And anyway, and it was also like they were just built this condo and it's on the edge of this riverbank, right?
Wow.
And I'm just wondering, this is Latin America, and they can cut some corners. I hope this thing doesn't slide,
Flee,
you know,
right, into
it's
the
50
river.
high and there's, and pool and everything and that, right? And so I was up there and I'm on the 11th floor and I got a stunning view of three volcanoes and everything and watching this massive rainstorm.
Wow.
It was just biblical what was happening, right?
Wow.
It was also very cool, but it's also very kind of unnerving. So that happened, and of course, it kind of let up because these things tend to go very quickly, right? And then about 30 minutes later, the building started shaking,
Shaking.
and
Ooh.
I thought, "Oh my God, it's going into the river!"
No.
And here it was. I got online immediately, and it was a small earthquake. Uh,
Wow.
so and that was the only time that I've been here that I was ever actually freaked out about an
I
earthquake.
don't blame you. I would be too. Yeah.
So
So tell us, if we were going to visit your place for a couple of months, and how actually, what is the limit that you could stay in Costa Rica without a
actually,
visa?
the limit is up to a maximum of 6 months,
It is
and
six
yeah, it used
months.
to be 3 months, and they upped it to 6 months. And but to get the 6 months, you need to show a return plane ticket that shows your. Usually, they just give you automatically 6 months, but just don't assume it. But if you have a plane, you know, 6 months, then they will. Sometimes they'll ask you about your return ticket. Actually, to enter Costa Rica, to get on the flight wherever you're coming from, if you're not a resident, you must have a return
Have a
ticket.
return ticket.
Yeah, or some way to show that you are leaving Costa Rica.
Got it. Got it. All right. So we covered pretty much everything except for, I guess, the food scene. Is that you mentioned one Italian restaurant. Is that about?
Yeah, we're that's something that we're in a food desert. I don't want to mislead people, and I look forward to the day when our phase two will open, and we're going to have a very
Restaurant.
comfortable, yeah, but we're going to be sort of upscale counter service is what we're really going to kind of go for because we want to keep it casual, tasty, and affordable, and by doing away with the service staff it's going to make things a lot more accessible financially. And there are also some laws that you could skirt by not having service. And if there's somebody that needs, for whatever reason, stuff brought to the table, there's no reason that, people behind the counter can't do
Right.
that.
When is phase two planned? Is
I'm
there
not
planning?
sure. I have some, financial realities that have come to me, and so I need to sell another property. I have some other properties that are for sale, so I can realize phase two. Yeah, but I think within the year, yeah, is realistic. Yeah,
How about
the
internet?
tool are already there. It's just in a very sort of primitive state, and we need to bring it up to, you
Yeah.
know, we want it to
Snuff.
scream, you know,
Yes. Yes.
you saw the property,
Right.
and so it has to meet that level, and we won't
Exactly.
accept anything less.
Got it. I mean, you're on the internet now. What is internet like in the units?
Pretty good. We're testing now, just recently starting to test in each individual unit and seeing where we might have to put boosters. As once in a while will get some slower internet in my unit here, but one of the issues is we have all cement walls and
Hmm.
that and cement ceilings,
Oh yeah,
and
that's a problem.
yeah, yeah, it's great though for keeping things cool
And
and
quiet.
and quiet, but it does not make for we've had nothing that people can't deal with. You know,
Do you have
if
free
people
Wi-Fi?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely free. Yes, yeah. If people are remote working and everything, I will make sure that they will be in one of the unit that is one of the best connections. But I watch my Netflix and all my other programs, and I would say 95 to 98% I do so without issue. but once in a while I'll get a lag. And I don't know, and I don't even think it's my space. It could just be the community or whatever, the provider. I have no idea.
As long as I can record a podcast there, I'm fine.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Well, so far we've been making it. We've only had one hiccup, so that's pretty good.
Right. That's fine. All right. Anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, first of all, to anybody listening to this, I just want to do another shout out to Mark for doing these podcasts and his groups and everything. And I encourage you to go and enter, if you want to reserve, to enter the LGBTQ seniors promo code into when you make your reservation, because Mark gets a commission to help support the many initiatives that he is doing. And I know Mark for a few years, and I know this is a project of love, and he finances a lot of this out of his own money. And I'm only too happy to help help offset some of these costs, because I'm well aware of what things even like doing this podcast costs. So I encourage people, if you're feeling like reserving, to enter that promo code, and let's help each other out and keep all of our projects going and financially viable. And also, we give commissions to platforms like Booking.com and Expedia. Well, why wouldn't we prefer to give them to Mark?
Thank
so,
you.
so I encourage anyone listening to that. I think that's very important.
Thank you, Colin. And yeah, for people listening and watching out there, so our website, lgbtqseniors.com, has a Buy Curious marketplace in there. And within there, you'll see Club Heasa and Colin's Place with pictures, and it will automatically connect you to Colin's website from my website. And if you put in that code, I'll get that commission, and we'll all be one happy family. We still
Yes,
are,
and
but
even if you want to inquire, and just send us an email. Just say, I would like to do the LGBT seniors. Just make a reference, and we will make sure that Mark gets credited for that reservation.
thank
So
you.
if you're not ready to book and you just want to inquire, just make a note of that so that we can follow it up.
Yeah, that's great. Anything else that you'd like to
No,
add, Colin?
um, I have to be honest. I'm really nervous because, like everything, I'm all in, and that includes financially. And so this is my retirement plan, and I'll be okay if it all doesn't work out, but it would be a lot better if it does. And I just feel that through my intuition has served me well through my life, and I've never felt stronger about something I'm doing than this project. And I holding on to my experience, which is build it and they will come. So, we will see. I expect things to be slow in the beginning, but I think within the year we'll be up and singing.
We'll make it work, Colin.
Exactly.
We'll
Where there's
make
a
it work.
way, that's one of my yeah,
We'll get the gay boys
yeah.
to come visit. That's
Yeah.
for sure. I definitely want to come visit as well.
Well, I'm expecting you and your partner, and we've talked about that. So,
Yes,
there's no excuse.
that's right.
Yeah, and there's I
Okay.
think there's direct flights from Arizona, so that's
Oh,
good.
there is? Oh, I got to check that out too. Oh, and what's the airport that we fly into?
SJO is the most convenient, which is close to my place. Yes,
SJO. Okay, making a
which
note.
is San Juan de Maria.
Got it. Making a note. Well, Colin, thanks so much for being a part of the podcast. I know you for many years now, and every time it gets better and more interesting. And I'm wishing you the best of success. And I am going to watch and pay close attention and get the word out to everyone as well.
Well, as likewise, Mark, and it's been great being on this journey together, both of us at this stage in our lives, and it's been great to meet you and stay connected with you. So, thanks for your
Abs-
support. It really means a lot to me.
Absolutely. Same here. All right. Take care now.
Thank you for listening to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast and consider making a donation by clicking the coffee cup on any page at www.wheredogaysretire.com. Each cup of coffee that you buy costs $5 and goes towards helping us continue the podcast. Thank you for your continued support.